So now you can see me. Again, good morning, everyone. Let's move on to the rest of the presentation so that you managed finally to solve the issue. So I was saying a little bit of a premise. We live in a digital age, and the digital revolution is ongoing. Interestingly enough, this has been propelled by a number of technologies that you can see at the bottom of this figure. It's an umbrella figure trying to encapsulate the major features of the digital revolution, as well as important industrial policies. Perhaps the most relevant of them has been the Industrie 4.0, developed by the German government back in 2011. So all in all, indeed, this process is very much about the coalescence of the development of digital technologies out there, but supported by industrial policies. And in fact, today, the world's most valuable resource is no more oil, but data, as was very well pointed out by an editorial written in The Economist back in 2017. And interestingly enough, there are two major drivers of value creation in the digital era. On one hand, we have digital data, and on the other hand, platformization, namely the capability to build digital empowered platform-based business models. And there is clearly, as a consequence of political powers, an ongoing battle for digital supremacy. And this battle actually is a battle revolving around digital data and platformization. That is basically generating a countervailing battle between even the digital enterprises based in the US and those based in China. Interestingly enough, the size of the digital economy up until 2015 was about 15% of the world GDP, with an important optimized compound annual rate for China, which was more than 37%. But indeed, the COVID-19 recovery that has been also digital, by the way, and the COVID pandemic itself has significantly accelerated this process, so that today, in fact, we project that by 2025, 1/4 of the global GDP will be consisting of digital economy related business value. In parallel with this trend, we have an important and increasing trend of services and their impact on the overall economy. Today, according to data by the World Bank, they represent 2/3 of the entire global GDP. So this leads me smoothly into trying to understand to what extent services have been actually considered explicitly as a part of this industrial revolution that is going on. And to this aim, I developed back in 2019 a systematic quantitative literature review, basically bibliometric review of all of the scientific production related to Industry 4.0. And one of the questions that I was asking was how are management scholars, how are management experts addressing the Industry 4.0 phenomenon in service industries? And by deploying advanced bibliographical coupling, topic modeling, and network discovery algorithms, we basically came up with 7 different clusters that could be grouped into 3 major overarching macro clusters. Out of these more than 12,000 articles, most of them were dealing with the understanding of what the Industry 4.0 is about, business model stemming from this digital transformation and digital revolution. And we then had, you can see this in the central part of the slide, a focus on studies related to advanced manufacturing technologies, strategies related to that, lean manufacturing, and then last but not least, studies pertaining to additive manufacturing management and reshoring, therefore the backshoring of manufacturing production building on Industry 4.0 technologies. And this led us to develop this conceptual framework that I will not explain in detail, but certainly it's a framework that actually lacks service industries out there. And this is quite surprising because despite being part of the governmental rhetoric, service has been relatively neglected in management literature. But in practice, what's happening is something quite different. Government plans are accommodating the need to make sense of services within the Industry 4.0 paradigm. And it's not the case that the German government developed its Smart Service World Initiative back in 2017. And also practitioners and major consultancy companies, such as Boston Consultancy Group, have developed their own take on Services 4.0. So overall, we can say that there has been a progressive shift from focus on advanced manufacturing technologies through additive manufacturing, through Industry 4.0, and last but not least to Service 4.0. But clearly, all of this would have not been there without the important role of institutions. Institutions are playing a key role in shaping data strategies to support digital transformation. Now, a very recent study carried out by the Center for International Governance Information this year has scoped more than 50 countries worldwide to understand a little bit more if they had developed a data strategy. And they found that basically 7 countries plus a supranational body, the European Union, had actually put in place a data strategy. So we can see from this table, Australia, China, Germany, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, South Korea, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom that have actually developed some of them even very recently, like in the UK, they have developed it in 2020, a data strategy to support digital transformation. But what is interesting for you and for us generally at the European level is that Europe itself has developed its own data strategy. And the idea there is to create a single market for data that can be either personal data or business data that can be accessed easily and that can be leveraged actually to create value. And what they at the European Union level has been done, it is this kind of very interesting matrix that you can see here, where on the y-axis you have the industrial ecosystems, And on the x-axis here, on top, you have the data spaces. And you can see clearly that in addition to the more established data spaces, we can find also tourism that has important intersection with industrial ecosystems such as the tourism space, as well as retail and culture and creative industries, agri-food, aerospace, and defense. So clearly, that is important, and that has been acknowledged by the European Union. But moving then to the underpinning digital technology of the Industry 4.0, certainly big data and analytics are one of the major drivers of there. And many of you will be, I guess, aware or would be aware of the classical 3V framework on big data that distinguishes volume, velocity, and variety as distinctive features of big data. But big data is not enough per se. In order to create value, we actually need to generate insights stemming from big data. And therefore, we need big data analytics. Let me share with you a working definition of that. Is a holistic process that involves the collection, analysis, use, and interpretation of data for various functional divisions with a view to gaining actionable insights, creating business value, and establishing competitive advantage. And a little bit of personal insights on this. How did my journey into big data and big data analytics start? Well, started almost 10 years ago as outgrowth of my fascination for languages. I've been formally trained into counterpoint and composition, and music is a universal language, but I was also trained as a web developer. So in fact, coding and digital itself is a universal language. Think about it. It's just a sequence of ones and zeros, the binary system, that allows us to store, create, generate, and transmit information in real time. And this fascination led me to, since 2013, address a number of marketing, management, and computer issues by developing a software for integrated big data analytics, SIBDA, that originally consisted in terms of its architecture of 4 different modules acting on a pipeline. There was a data extraction module that extracted data from the web and multiple platforms, including Facebook and many more that were added later. And this then moved data into a data parser that then generated purpose statistics, moving into a data analyzer that then generated a visualization through a data visualizer. All of this was developed in Python. Then basically, as we didn't have much time, we left a third party to continue the project. And out there today, there are actually companies that are specialized, also building on our knowledge on extracting relevant information from web data. And actually, this data helped my research team to tackle a number of different big data and big data analytics issues related to a number of tourism, hospitality, and travel organizations. Now, in terms of the functions, I mentioned to you that the very important first function of big data and big data analytics is that they are an important methodological tools, and we have been using this widely for our research work out there. The sources of data relevant in our case is data from search engines, data from e-commerce websites, data from service provider via government platforms, as well as data from websites and user-generated content data as well. That is afterwards retrieved and stored also at a larger scale through data warehouse structures as well as data lakes. And this then leads to a further stage, which is pre-processing, including cleaning, taking account into volatility, replicability, privacy. And then the further stage is processing and analyzing data, including also machine learning, deep learning tools. And last but not least, reporting in the form of graphs, tables, and other visualizations. Now, in the service sectors, and more specifically in the hospitality and tourism industries, big data are very important because they allow to capture service interaction and encounters. And generally, this starts by focusing on three different data sources. They could be user generated data in the form of user generated content. They could be devices data in the form of devices data such as GPS data, mobile roaming data, Bluetooth data, RFID data, Wi-Fi data. And then we have thirdly, operations data that come under the form of transaction data, including, for example, web page visiting data, online booking data, consumer cards data. Now, this helped us to tackle, for example, the question, how do service quality categories affect customer satisfaction? What we did was to collect more than 1 million Booking.com online reviews related to hotels based in London. That was at that time the entire population of data covering hotels in London. And this basically allowed us to reconstruct the distribution of online review ratings across categories. As you can see from the blue line here, clearly 5-star hotel deploy a distribution of online reviews that is very much skewed to the right-hand side. That means that normally they can get higher online reviews compared to, for example, 2 stars that are represented by the distribution in brown line. But in fact, we also tackled the question, how do customer demographics, language, and culture affect service customer satisfaction? So as we can collect data on customer country of origin / country of origin of residence, this is part of the metadata of online reviews. And as we can have an idea of the cultural dimension of a customer based on the country of origins or country of residence, then we can learn a lot about how this affect customer satisfaction. So we did it by collecting a combined amount of more than 7.5 million of online reviews. And this led us to actually understand more about, for example, speaking the same language or having a common knowledge of language can enhance online review ratings overall, and how cultural dimensions such as individualism or masculinity or power distance can actually impact online review ratings. And perhaps one of the most interesting questions that we tackled was how do submission devices affect service customer online behaviors? So here, still based on the 1 million plus online review database, we basically plotted the monthly online review submission of hotel online reviews in London. And what we found was that starting from February 2015, for the first time, online reviews submitted by mobile overcame online reviews submitted by desktop. And this trend actually accentuated. And what is interesting is that, in fact, mobile devices have much more immediacy And this is an explanation of the reason why, for example, they are shorter in length. But as their use happens very close to the consumption of the hospitality service, then what we can observe is that if there are positive experiences, they get rewarded with a very high score. So in fact, statistically speaking, online reviews submitted by mobile tend to have higher scores than online reviews submitted by desktop. And but by the same token, mobile reviews get less helpful votes than mobile reviews than desktop reviews. But interestingly enough, big data can be used also to understand how to forecast the destination arrivals and hotel occupancy based on search engine data. So based on search engine data, think about, for example, searches on Google and other search engines, we can actually forecast occupancy rate at the destination level, but we can also understand a little bit more of occupancy of actually demand patterns at a specific destination. But what is happening right now, and I think that this is the most interesting aspect of technological development related to big data, is the use of software computing and quantum computing. So the European Hyper-Performance Computing Joint Undertaking has basically facilitated the development of now 8 supercomputers, including the supercomputer Leonardo, based in Bologna, Italy. Those supercomputers are thought to help support a number of activities, including also business activities pertaining to the tourism and hospitality industry. And a very interesting project that is being developed is Destination Earth, which is a conjoint initiative of the European Union and the European Center for Medium Weather Forecasts, that is building a digital twin of the Earth that is allowing us to track in real time both human and natural activities going on at the planet level. So based on historical data, we have certainly a view on the past related to the planet, but we can get also a simulation of what's happening now, and also insights to predict what will happen in the future. Think about, for example, weather. Weather is key, and weather data are being increasingly deployed to forecast demand. Certainly weather and weather forecast will be empowered by using these supercomputing capabilities. At the Spanish level, you have the Mare Nostrum 5 supercomputer based in Barcelona that I think should be more effectively used also in this sense. Another interesting example of how big data and analytics are helping travel companies to make their processes more efficient is the Turnaround Insights, that is a service developed by the Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam that allows to basically streamline the turnaround process using hundreds of thousands of camera images in real time about aircrafts to make sure that the aircraft stands are managed effectively. Now, let me move to the second important function of big data and big data analytics, as they indeed are a critical component for innovation and artificial intelligence enabled services, and they respond to the need of making sure that autonomous robots are properly embedded into services. And think about, for example, the relevance of service robots in hospitality industries. Hotels have been increasingly integrating robots into their operations. These robots are system-based, autonomous, and adaptable interfaces that in fact interact, communicate with customers, with employees, and deliver service to the hospitality customers. And in this context, we tackle the question, how do service robots influence customer satisfaction with hospitality services? So based on a big data analytics approach, we first conducted an online research on major search engines such as Google, Yahoo, and so on and so forth, to find out hotels that were adopting service robots in their operations. So for each hotel that we found in step one, we then collected further information in the form of company news, their own company website, social media accounts, company reports, to understand exactly when the robots were introduced first. So the introduction date was an important data that we needed to collect. And then we collected also data about the name associated with the robot. Following this step, we retrieved the entire population of TripAdvisor online reviews between 2011 and 2019 related to these hotels that had introduced the robots. And we homogenized the language to have all of the reviews in English language. And we ran then a regression analysis trying to understand to what extent a positive comment about a positive interaction between the customer, the hotel customer, and the robot could influence the overall satisfaction with the hotel. And what we found is very interesting. So if the customer, if the hotel customer had a positive interaction with the robot, then this translated into a positive overall evaluation of the hotel experience. On the contrary, if the customer had a negative interaction with the robot, this did not translate into a negative level of satisfaction. So there was no significance of the negative interaction between the customer of and the robot on the satisfaction with the hotel. So this basically enriches our understanding of the attributes of the factors that in fact characterize services. And what you see represented here is the KEYNOTE model of customer satisfaction. So there are certain factors, they are called basic factors. Think about room cleaning. Room cleaning is a basic factor. If you don't get excellent performance in room cleaning, then you will have customer dissatisfaction. So you need to push high excellence in the factor of room cleaning if you want the customer not to be dissatisfied. Then we have here performance factors or hybrids. These are, for example, the presence of a gym. If the gym is old, perhaps this will generate dissatisfaction, but if the gym is updated and new, perhaps this will generate customer satisfaction and operate here. And then last but not least, we have a third type of factor, which is excitement factor, that operate only in the area of customer satisfaction here. So this means that if the performance of these factors, such as, for example, technology, is low, perhaps this will not impact the overall satisfaction with the overall hotel experience. But if the technology performance is very high, then this will also have an impact on the overall customer satisfaction. And interestingly enough, this is the area where service robots operate. If there are service robots, they are excitement attributes. They are excitement factors, and they can be considered as a means to innovate, pushing differentiation strategies, because they in fact keep the costs low while at the same time improving service excellence. And this is the way currently architectures for big data analytics, empowering artificial intelligence are being framed, whereby there is a global AI that works at a cloud level that has a direct dialogue with the local AI, powering robots at a local level. Now, let me move to the third and last relevant function of big data and big data analytics. Their role of driver of firm performance. So indeed, a very important part of my current research focuses on the impact of data, such as online review features, such as valence, volume, variance, helpfulness, sentiment, diversity, on two different dimensions of performance: firm efficiency on one hand, and firm's financial performance on the other hand. So one of the things that we did was trying to match large volumes of online reviews pertaining to hotels with financial indicators sourced from Bureau van Dijk data set. And what we did was developing a data envelopment analysis model focusing on a few inputs of the production process and a few outputs. So generally, data envelopment analysis relies on inputs such as number of rooms of a hotel, number of employees, net operating expenses, and then as far as outputs are concerned, it considers revenues, but does not really embed a very important driver of performance, which is the online reputation of hotels. So what we did was actually using online reviews as a proxy of hotel online reputation and embed them into a data envelopment analysis. And what we found was that the efficiency frontier of the hotels that we were considering, more than 140 hotels in, I think in this case was in the areas of Milan and Rome, Italy. So the efficiency frontier for hotels, not including, with a there, not including online reviews, was this blue line that you can see here. But this didn't allow us to actually understand the real gaps in terms of how the hotel was doing in terms of online reputation. While by embedding also online reviews in the data envelopment analysis, we identified a more nuanced and scattered and interesting efficiency frontier, whereby some hotels had really the capability to reach a peak by making sure that they could achieve high level of online review scores. My research team also used huge volumes of online reviews, and especially one feature of online reviews, online review helpfulness, to understand how online review helpfulness can have an impact on the financial performance measured in terms of revenue per available room. And well, this is the overall model that we tested. So we basically found that the online review valence, which is the overall score, has a positive impact on financial performance. We also found that the review volume has a positive impact on financial performance, but these are very kind of obvious findings. What is relevant for us was that we actually also measured how the degree of online review helpfulness actually could interact with the online review valence and with the online review volume. So we found that, in fact, the degree of online review helpfulness enhances the positive impact of online review scores on financial performance, simply because as high online review ratings are a proxy of high hotel quality, having also helpful votes endorsing that review strengthens the positive relationship between online review ratings and RevPAR. But at the same time, and this is quite an interesting result, online review volume, which is just a proxy of the popularity of a hotel, doesn't distinguish between low valenced versus high valenced reviews. So you may have two points, two ratings, and 10 points ratings within large volumes of online reviews. So the volume per se doesn't make any difference, because this is just a proxy of popularity. Inside this volume, I may have very low scores and very high scores. Therefore, the degree of online review helpfulness in this case can have very different and extreme effects. And this is actually what we found here. So the interaction effect between valence and online review helpfulness was significant and positive, but was non-significant when focusing on the interaction between online review volume and online review helpfulness. Interestingly enough, we have important examples of how hospitality companies such as Pebble Beach Resort in California are adopting the most advanced form of analytics, cognitive analytics, to make sense of customer opinions and customer behaviors in real time, and accommodate and update their offers in real time as well. A leading example of destinations that are increasingly adopting big data is Smart Horus, which is an initiative developed to create sustainable innovation and growth. And the city, in fact, is pioneering technologies such as cutting-edge sensor technologies to tackle peak traffic and reduce fuel consumption. So this clearly is improving mobility, which is a good thing for both tourists, but also for residents. And a number of other projects are ongoing. I'm very aware that in Spain there are very similar projects. Valencia, for example, Salamanca, they have ongoing projects, and many other destinations are increasingly using sensors and IoT and blending them into smart initiatives. So to conclude, main takeaways of my talk today: service industries, and more specifically hospitality and service industries, are still under-researched in relation to big data and big data analytics, despite they constitute a large and expanding share of the world GDP. Some service industries are covered by massive volumes of user-generated content and other data. Think about mobile phone data that unfortunately should be purchased. You cannot just acquire them using web acquisition tools. And last but not least, big data and analytics represent an effective methodological tool, a key component of AI-enabled services, and a driver of performance and service industries. Future directions out there: we call for more work analyzing the drivers and outcomes of Industry 4.0 in service industries, with a focus on hospitality and tourism industries. Certainly deploying big data to develop algorithms useful to capture service customer behaviors and satisfaction is out there in the agenda. And we should utilize perhaps better big data analytics to make sense of how we can enhance AI-enabled services and clearly help the extension of the emerging field of service analytics. In this area, we can actually, and we are actually working on Horizon Europe and Next Generation EU funding initiative. So last, and this is the very last part of my speech, big data and big data analytics are contributing to the digital transformation of hospitality and tourism industries. And the reason is that they are a methodological tool relevant to gain insights on consumer behavior. They are a key component empowering innovation and the capability to enhance AI-enabled hospitality and tourism services, and they are a relevant driver of service hospitality and tourism firms' performance. There are key challenges out there. There is no only a rosy picture about the future. So one challenge is about the volume, the size of the data, which is expanding increasingly and needs higher computation capabilities. This is the reason why I think a tighter collaboration with supercomputer initiatives and the Euro high-performance computing initiative is very important and relevant. Second, we need to bring stakeholders on the same table. And third, there is a lack of big data capabilities and data culture out there, especially for small and medium enterprises. That's all from me. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Grazie, Dr. Mariani. It was a pleasure for us to share your knowledge with you. But time is up. Sorry, we don't not have time for a debate as we like you, but time is so. Oops, sorry. But thank you a lot, and hope to see you next time face to face here in Mallorca in INTO seminar.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your invitation. Thank you.